like in that moment, like I felt like abandoned. There's a lot of times where I felt abandoned from her. And even being with another family, it doesn't make it always easy, you know, like. What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I decided today that I was finally going to do my foster care experience vlog. If that doesn't interest you, I'm sorry, but I think this week I'm gonna do that. I've been contemplating about doing it just because it's such a touchy, it's a touchy like subject to discuss, because so many, like, my family's involved. It's like it's a lot of components. So I realized that I'm a grown adult now, and I have to speak my truth and be authentic, and I want this channel to be nothing but that, be authentic and true to myself and my experiences. And so if my experiences and truths can relate to someone else, then all much the better. So today, that's what we're gonna be doing. That's what I'm gonna be discussing, my foster care experience. I sorry about my throat. Had a long weekend. So I was about 14 when I first went into foster care. There was the year 2012, which that year was like, I know for a lot of people that wasn't a good year, but that year for me was like crazy. I got voluntarily placed, not involuntary. So there's a difference. Involuntary is like there's a situation that happens, ACS comes, they come, they take you. No, my mom called ACS, and she called the cops, I think. I'm not too sure, either one of the two, but I was like sent to ACS. And so basically, to sum it up, me and my mom, we never had a good relationship for multiple reasons. And I feel like as time goes on and as my channel progresses, that's something I will be able to discuss more in full detail. But for now, it's just like we never had a good relationship. I came from a single parent home. My grandma mostly raised me because my mom would either be working and other things. She was a young parent, so there's a lot of things that went on. And so up until that point, it just kind of like exploded, like our living situation, the dynamic of everything, it just didn't work out. For her or me, it was fighting, arguing. I would leave. It was just not good. It wasn't like good for her or me. So I think her voluntarily placing me in in foster care was probably the best decision for us. So I went there when I was about 14. I went to a group home at first. When I first got there, I didn't know what to expect. My mom used to scare me a lot and say, oh, you're gonna have to fight a lot, people are gonna steal from you, like she would build it up to be like a really horrible place. And that's what I was expecting. I thought it was gonna be like, I don't know, you know how you think of something and you make the worst like scenarios of it? That's kind of like what I did when I thought about the group home that I was going to. But it was so low-key, the group home. It didn't feel like a group home. B, it was so like, you would have to know someone. Staying there wasn't too bad. I was a teen. I was for the most part, I was like, I had to be I was on my own for the most part. I had to fend for myself. And a lot of the decisions I made, like, I'm pretty sure a lot of teens do it, like shoplifting. Sometimes I would shoplift, sometimes, just to have things that I felt like I needed or wanted. We would get allowances and stuff, but they wouldn't be big allowances, or they would give us supplies based off of what like care packages that they had, but they wouldn't be a quality products. So yeah, sometimes I would have to go out and get my own things. And me and my mom didn't speak for the first 3 months that I was there. She was upset with me, I was upset with her. Yeah, so and not to downplay my mom, but there was like a lot of our relationship was like it was just a tumble of so many things. But so yeah, those first 3 months she didn't speak to me, I didn't speak to her. And not, you know, this is just my experience, not to like call anybody out, but I experienced you know what a lot of teens experience, whether they're in foster care or not. Basically just like insecurities start to come up. And I think when I was in foster care, my insecurities is like I couldn't layer them the way I did before. They were just so out in the open that you couldn't, you could only tell what I was insecure about. So I think that was the first time that I started to pay attention and started to care about certain things. What other people say now, I give to, like, I've grown so much as a person, but at that time, 14, 15 years old, I had so many adversities coming at me. Like, there were girls there that made fun of me, my complexion. They would call me midnight. They would, you know, like, like just certain things that I didn't think of or didn't notice before I came into foster care. That because originally, like, I mean, I got teased like my whole childhood by my parents, by kids in school, but that wasn't like the certain things that I got bullied for being in foster care I never experienced before. So that was like new to me. Like my complexion, I never thought about like my complexion being an issue. I didn't know that was a thing until I got there. So and yeah, from there I stayed there for 3 months. They moved me to RTC. RTCs are residential treatment centers. That's, you know, there's supposed to be a plan laid out for you on where you're supposed to be going, what you're supposed to be doing. Like, you know, there's all steps to it. I went there, it honestly felt like being there, even though I did normal teenager stuff, like, you know, maybe cut class a couple of days, sometimes the whole week, you know, like, or like just do fun, stupid things with other teens that were there, and that, you know, like normal stuff that you would do. It felt like a college experience living on the RTC. And there was this freedom that I had that I never attained before. Sometimes I would abuse it, but overall it wasn't too bad, you know, like it was on my terms and it wasn't too bad. One thing I will say about living on the RTC, I had therapy. Like they had these services that they would offer that were pretty good. In terms of the school that we were in up there, not too good. It was mostly for people like who needed I forgot what, like IEPs, people with that, people like special, that need like special attention, like extra attention in certain areas. The only good parts about being upstate in the RTC was like the extra activities. So they had like cooking, they had construction, they had or was it, I forgot that class, what you call it, where you're building wood and sawing and arts. And it was like a lot of different programs that they had that I thought was pretty cool. But yes, they had a lot of services like therapy, book clubs, and like stuff like that. And so it was like really, and it was a boy-girl campus, so it was like it really felt like that was like, if I had a college experience, that was my college experience. And it was fun. It was honestly, there were good days and bad days. And looking back, I don't regret anything. It's just like regular teen stuff. You think you're in love, you're not in love. Looking back, I wish I loved myself a little more. But you live, you learn. And I think going to therapy helped me a lot. Music helped me a lot because it was difficult being away from my family. Like, I was having to fend for myself. I had to be my own advocate. It was just like me against the world. That's how it felt for me, at least. And I felt like I felt misunderstood. I don't want to cry. I felt so misunderstood from my family, from my mom to be exact. And there was a bunch of kids that felt like that too. So, but going into foster care, I had to be my own. I had to like stand up for myself. I had to be my own voice. And I was always on guard because you never know when you're gonna be taken advantage of. You don't know what someone could steal from you. Something like, you always have to have your guard up. So I learned that being in foster care, like, and so therapy helped me a lot. I actually considered being a therapist. Anyone that knows me, any of my friends or people that know me or that are close to me know that I love, I'm a very overstanding person, and I try my best to understand people first before judging or making assumptions of a person, because you just never know what someone's background is or how they grew up, or like, there's so many different components to a person, and sometimes people just take you as is and not understand the backstory. So yes, being up there, it made me even want to like be a therapist. I love therapy. Like, from that point on, I don't think I ever stopped going to therapy. Therapy was my saving grace, like someone that was non-biased, that I could talk to and just feel like, whether they understood me or not, I could just be heard. So that was a plus, being upstate. And I think after a year of being up there, and I was getting older, and I was trying to get like more mature. I was turning 15, about to be 16, and I was like, what is my next steps? I know I don't want to go back with my mother because we're not in a good space. I even got tattoos. I got one of my first tattoos upstate. If I was back then, I probably would have waited, but all my tattoos mean something, so it's all good. But no, I better not ever try to get tattoos at 15. But I just knew I didn't want to go back home, because going back home would just end up in the same position. If that makes sense. Like, why leave to just come back, or why leave to like end up somewhere where I don't want to be, Before I even got into foster care, I was like, sometimes I had to like I had to sleep like places, like it was just not good. So my next step was either a foster home or another residential spot. I chose to live in a foster home. I met her and I was just like, yes, like I felt secure with her when I first met her, and I was like, yeah, this is the lady. And I didn't know what to expect. I was definitely nervous going in. Like, you know, to the process, because, you know, it's just like all around new for me. But I remember the first day getting there, meeting her daughter Chelsea, who I love so much. She gave me a big hug, and at first, if anyone knows me, it takes me time to like warm up to things, because change is like, it's a bit of a task for me. Like, I'm not opposed to change, but it just takes me a minute to adjust to new surroundings. So I remember the first night I slept over. I think I did a couple of like sleepovers, and then I think I officially like moved in. But I don't know if the first night, yeah, it was the first night that I stayed there for good, like permanently, and she tucked me in and she gave me a kiss on the forehead, and I felt like that is so sweet, and I met honestly, and it was just so nice, and it felt so full. And for the first time I felt like, wow, like, you know, I learned a lot, like, just living with her. Of course, like, there was like some good days and bad days. Like, it was like adjusting that had to be done on my end, and of course I have always had my guard up, because, you know, people take advantage, and sometimes I would assume things, and just, you know, life, you know, and then being within the agency, it's like, you ask for something, then you gotta ask again, and you gotta go to this person to get this, get that, and, you know, it's like a constant runaround. And your family that's, you know, that you're not with, you're still going through issues with them, so it's like, and around we go, like, you're just trying to cope, trying to deal with it the best way you can. So therapy really helped me throughout the whole foster care experience. A lot of things I was able to thankfully, or my agency would take care of, because I was in foster care, so that was a plus. That's probably the only good things about foster care. Other than that, is a lot of runaround, a lot of people not doing their job, honestly. Sometimes you gotta like go to the person's boss to make sure stuff is getting handled right. Yeah, like, I would say living there though, I learned a lot. I learned like celebration. I learned like the importance of knowing who you are. Like, just, you know, as time went on and went by, that was and like living there, I've known the same people that I know to this day. You know, like Chelsea, for instance, I'm still in contact with, you know, that same family. So I even met like the girl that I shared the room with, Talia, who hopefully you will meet on this channel. You know, we are like this, so it's like I've met people that became family, and sometimes it's like that. Sometimes your own blood, sometimes it's like that. Sometimes your own blood isn't your family, it isn't as close as they should be. The only thing that I missed out on, I feel like, is being with my sisters. You know, like my sisters, they grew up without me in a way. You know, I was there from when they were a baby up until a certain time, and then I felt like I pretty much missed out on those years. So when they did get to live with me for a short period of time, I was really happy about that, because I missed out like on some important years, I feel like, for them. I think even just because me and my mom wasn't talking, I think one time while I was upstate, I left a present for my sisters, just so they know that I'm thinking about them, that I love them. And it's hard for me just as much as it's hard for them. You know, like me and my mom would get into these arguments, and she would just cut me off and not speak to me. While I was younger, that was really hard for me because I just felt like there were so many conditions with my mother. And it's so hard to talk about it now because she isn't around right now, but it's just hard to like think about, like in that moment, like I felt like abandoned. There's a lot of times where I felt abandoned from her. And even being with another family doesn't make it always easy, you know. Like, I'm glad I'm at a point in my life where I've accepted things and I'm healing and I'm now a mother, so I can make decisions that's better or based off of unconditional love for my child. But looking back as a teen, like, or as a kid in general, like, that's really difficult to feel like you're not good enough, or to feel like you have to do certain things to get approval from your parents. And that was probably one of the hardest things, not being able to see my sisters and the relationship that we had, you know, like it was tainted with because of me and my mom's relationship. So yeah, that really, I'm sorry for crying. I really hope that whoever watches this, if you're in foster care, if you're in just a bad situation in life, like, to keep going, there's always something to look forward or try to find outlets that will help you get through it. You know, I know music helps me. I know going to therapy helps me for sure. It's not easy being in foster care. Sometimes you just feel like the black sheep, you know, like you feel out of place. There are times where I was living with, you know, in my foster home, and I felt, you know, like, wow, like I'm in this family dynamic, but I do feel out of place sometimes. Like, I wish my family dynamic could be different, and that's really hard to deal with. And yeah, so overall, my foster care experience, it felt like it could have been worse. Truthfully, it could have been worse. But there wasn't always good times, and I understand that. But if you're in foster care right now, if you're watching this, and advocate for yourself, know what you're supposed to have, and make sure that the people that's in charge of things, your social workers, know what you're supposed to have, and make sure that the people that's in charge of things, your social workers or whatever, make sure that they're on top of stuff. Go to their bosses, talk and get numbers. Like, I had to do that, so make sure that you do that. Luckily, I did have certain caseworkers that were on top of stuff, and I had you know, certain people were doing their job, some people weren't, and that's just how it is anywhere. But just make sure that you stand up for yourself, have integrity, stand by your morals and your principles, don't fold. You know, I noticed a lot in, like, just in the system in general, like, they try to shove medication down your throat, literally. They, you know, it's like, just be aware, be self-aware and aware of the people that's, you know, working on your case. Be aware of the people that's in charge of things, and stay on top of it as well. Don't just hand over your situation, if that makes sense. And stay strong. Like, I know that's very cliche, but stay strong. And you know, don't let people's perception of you or things you've gone through define you, especially if you are the kind of person that's a very reactive kind of person. That's how I was. I would just react to things. I'm like, this person's taking advantage of me, doing something to me, I gotta react, I gotta be on guard, I gotta let people know they can't mess with me. Like, and it showed a lot in a lot of areas in my life. So I hope this helps someone out there. Overall, I had my experience was my experience, and I'm grateful for the people that I met and know to this day, and I just hope this helps anyone that's watching. So if you guys do like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment, let me know what kind of videos you want to see in the future, and I will see you guys in the next one. I know I boo-hoo cried in this video. I'm sorry, but it's like my real life, and I just want to be as authentic as I can. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.